What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and with Spider-Man Brand New Day dropping over the weekend and also seeing mad people do it, let's go ahead and rank the Spider-Man movies for myself personally. I wasn't going to do it, but I kept seeing it pop up on my timeline, and I kept having these discussions in my head about where I would place stuff. So I always find rankings pretty fun, and I'm going to start by saying that this is just my list, and this is based off of my personal preferences. So if it does not match your list, it is A-okay, and there is no need to sling mud because we don't agree. It's fine. All right, I gotta say that because the internet be wilding sometimes when you don't agree. I have people under my comments trying to tell me I'm wrong or that's not how they feel, which is fine, but no need to spew venom. You know what I mean? So I gotta start there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the list. At the bottom of the list for me is Spider-Man Far From Home. I really do not like this movie at all. I tried to watch it a number of times to like it, but it is way too silly, and the character motivations don't make sense for me. For Spider-Man 1, but just also as a character in general, for him to give up his entire arsenal to a dude he just met as a main character, period, without even that much convincing, was pretty over the top to me. And the CGI in this film is just too much. This movie doesn't really feel real to me. It just feels like a cutscene from a game, and the majority of it feels like that. Whenever Spider-Man is in the suit, they completely wrap it with CGI. It just takes me out of the movie. And I got no problem with CGI at all, but if you're gonna do it, I would want more detail and it to feel like it's filled with life. And that is a huge issue for me with this film. It's not tangible enough for me to really be invested in it. And then that added silliness, like this is damn near a comedy. And I understand Spider-Man is very humorous, but I think that this goes way too far. So because of those things, Spider-Man Far From Home is my least favorite on this list. So coming in at number 10 for me is Spider-Man Homecoming. I think it's okay, but it just isn't for me. Again, I think that it still leans into the silliness, and I understand that this is Spider-Man when he's younger and in high school, so it's supposed to be feeling a little bit more adolescent and going for the whole John Hughes thing. But that style of filmmaking for these movies just don't work for me at all. And technically, this one is way better than Far From Home, in my honest opinion. It doesn't have those inconsistencies and things of character motivations that Far From Home has, because it is Spider-Man trying to find his own way in this world of Avengers, which I do like. But still, it has that CGI factor that takes me out of it, because Spider-Man is completely wrapped in CGI almost every time he's on screen. It just does not feel real. Even when he's on the street talking to the other New Yorkers, his suit is completely wrapped in CGI. And he just doesn't feel like Spider-Man that much to me of what I grew up with. So I do think it's okay. And I watched it again and I like it a little more, but it's still not one that I revisit much at all. I think I've only seen it maybe 3 times since it released. And the first 2 came from me trying to like it, but I just don't. So at the number 10 spot for me is Spider-Man Homecoming. At the 9th spot is Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I don't hate this movie like everybody else does. I do think that there are some things that I'm like, with like the whole design of how the Green Goblin looked. I thought that he doesn't look good at all. But I like the flip on this idea that the Green Goblin is a curse that's passed down through generations, and it's literally turning the Osborns into like this goblin type creature. I thought that was actually pretty dope. And I love how emotion filled this movie is in regards to Garfield's performance in the tragedy with Gwen Stacy. And even the effects are amazing. I mean, that third act when he's going against Electrode and Green Goblin, yes, it is full on CGI, but the detail in the CGI is so appealing, it doesn't really bother me because I can see the craftsman at work with the details. I mean, there are like ripples in the suit as he's jumping around, and the action is on point. So the Green Goblin thing is working against it, and also Jamie Foxx being Electro doesn't work for me either, because you can dress Jamie as this nerd with comb over and all of that, but it still is not gonna work because it's Jamie Foxx. He's just who he is, and I can't buy him being a nerd. Even the way he was talking, it was way too damn goofy and over the top. But when he changes to Electrode, I thought he was dope as Electrode there. So those 2 things are really the biggest factors against this movie. But other than that, I really enjoy it for being a modern take on Spider-Man. So at the number 9 spot is Amazing Spider-Man 2. At the number 8 spot for me is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, this movie definitely feeds off the nostalgia bait, and it really caught me the first time I watched it, because seeing Andrew and especially Tobey Maguire, who was like my Spider-Man, on screen alongside Tom Holland's Spider-Man was just a ridiculous shot of nostalgic adrenaline that fueled me to the moon. But once the nostalgia wears off and you can kind of see the movie for what it is, it's not a great, well-made movie in my honest opinion. Like, the first half of the film is quite the struggle to get through because it still has that silly, goofy nature that the other two movies had before it. And again, I'm not a fan of that tone at all, because I feel like it's over the top for my personal tastes. But once you get to the second half, when it's discovered that Green Goblin is Green Goblin and he goes after May, from that point on, it does kick up a lot. And that tone and Peter having to deal with some real shit really resonates with me. And I love all of that. So the second half of this film is what's saving it for me. But that first half, man, it is quite a struggle because the motivations don't make sense at all. I didn't say that prior, but like going to Doctor Strange to have him wipe people's brains so he could like join college, and it's just too silly for me. Like as a plot line, like why would you go to him for that? And why would Doctor Strange agree to that as a grown ass man? It just I don't like how we get to the point of the universes colliding. I thought that was written very weak, and then paired with the overall silliness. Not my favorite, but I do enjoy it when the other Spideys show up and they have their moments. So at the number 8 spot, Spider-Man No Way Home. At the number 7 spot is The Amazing Spider-Man, the first Garfield Spider-Man film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This, to me, is one of the best live-action modern-day origin stories for Spider-Man. I think the tone is perfectly balanced. I think the action is super fire, especially before we got Brand New Day. The action in here was completely different than anything we saw, and then I love the perspective that they use for the swinging that Spider-Man did around the city. It was so visceral and so visually expressive and creative with the way that it was depicted on screen. Yes, a lot of it was CGI, but it just put you in the seat. If I remember right, that was the first time we got a POV Spider-Man swinging shot, and I remember watching it in theaters just like, this is fucking awesome. Wow. And it stayed pretty in line with the introduction of Connors and how it all unfolds. Like, I really love how this movie feels like the Connor episode from the 90s cartoon brought to life. And again, it had its humor in here, but it never went over the top. And I think Andrew completely nailed Spider-Man. Peter Parker is something else, because I feel like at this time they tried to hipsterify Peter, put him in skinny jeans and wear dunks and skateboard. And I'm like, if Peter is supposed to be a nerd that is outcasted, him being like that does not equate, because at that time period, the shit that he was doing and the way he was dressed was like cool and in style. So he wouldn't have been outcasted dressing like that. So that's kind of my issue with this Peter Parker in that movie, because I'm like, he's actually fresh and I would wear that outfit now. But him and Spider-Man nailed it. The slick talk, the accent, the way he carries himself, the physique, all of that grade A stuff. And I love how New York felt in that movie, because that is definitely a big part of Spider-Man, and they did not let us down there, especially the third act when everybody banded together to help him get to the Empire State Building to stop Connors. Love that. And the whole idea of the lizards being unleashed on New York and he had to stop them. Really enjoyed that movie. So at the number 7 spot for me is The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, this might be blasphemy to a lot of people, but at the number 6 spot is Spider-Man 3. Yes, Raimi's movie. I get it. A lot of people hate it, but I absolutely love it still, despite the issues. And honestly, the issues for me just lie in two areas that I can see where people, have a gripe, and personally my own gripe is the casting of, I think, Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. That was totally miscast, and I don't know why was even in the movie, because I think if you take him out, period, it makes the movie that much better. Yeah, people like the clown on Peter being taken over by the symbiote and he's goofy, but I'm like, that's his version of evil Peter, when he gets taken over by the symbiote. So it did what it's supposed to do. I love the heart-wrenching story that they pulled with Sandman and him being super serious, just trying to get back to his daughter, and how they merge the lines between him and Uncle Ben, and Peter having to fight with his own rage as the symbiote takes hold of him. Like, I think all of that is phenomenal. Even him having to deal with Harry, who knows who he is, MJ finally falling for him at the beginning, and them wanting to get married, and having to navigate his new boost of ego because of Spider-Man. Like, there's a lot of things in Spider-Man 3 that are really great, but for whatever reason, all of those things get sidelined for either Venom or Peter Parker being goofy with the symbiote. And I personally don't think that either one of those holds the movie down, because it's still a beautiful film. It's still directed extremely well. The Raimi-isms just show themselves everywhere. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little bit biased because I love Sam Raimi as a director. Always have and always will. So it hit more for me. I can see that. But overall, I still think it's a damn good movie. So for me, at the number 6 spot is Spider-Man 3. So I'm going to pair these next two together. At the 5 and 4 spot are Into the Spider-Verse at 5 and Across the Spider-Verse at 4. These movies, honestly, to me, work as like one big movie. And that's why I kind of got them together, because honestly, they're equal in quality. It's honestly like, it all depends on what you want to see. Like, if you want to see the story of Miguel, you might have Across the Spider-Verse first. But if you prefer the origin tale of Spider-Man going up against Kingpin, apples, oranges, honestly. But these movies are phenomenal. And if you were to tell me that these two were your favorite Spider-Man movies, I would have no argument. I can't argue either one of those being lesser. The type of animation it even is just like unworldly to me. And I'm not even big on animation like that, but these snatched my attention completely. I think getting the origin tale down for Miles was done so perfectly. I feel like they captured New York the best as it can be captured in animation. Like, I've never in my life been so connected to the animation that I've been connected to here. And this honestly is just a triumph for art and what you can do in the space of animation when you have people who care behind the product. And it also introduced me to things I didn't know about. I honestly had no idea Noir Spider-Man was even a thing before watching this film, or any of the other ones, like the Japanese one who had like the spider bot as her personal robot. Even Gwen Stacy, like before that movie, I didn't know much about her. I've seen images before. It's got to be like, an alternate version of Spider-Man who's a woman, but I never knew that was like a spider character, because if I remember correct doing research, they didn't make that decision until 2014, and prior to that she was just a love interest for Peter. So I never even knew that until Into the Spider-Verse. So that movie really did what the title said for both of them. Took me into the Spider-Verse, learning about new characters, and all across learning about other characters who they introduced in the sequel. And in that one, it was so beautifully done how much more rich the animation and different styles were. Like, again, they had live action characters within the movie with, Donald Glover in his Prowler outfit, as well as introducing me to other characters. Never knew who Punk Spider was. So both of these movies played as just like a whole new experience to animation and the world of Spider-Man that I did not know. I knew there were multiverse things, but I didn't know that this was happening because I stopped reading comics past like the early 2000s. So a lot of that stuff was new to me. So at the 5 and 4 spot is Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Now at the number 3 spot for me is Spider-Man Brand New Day. I absolutely love this film. It's a masterpiece to me. I've seen it 3 times already. And when it does hit Blu-ray Steelbook, I already got it pre-ordered. I'm going to watch it again. As you could probably tell, I have not been the biggest fan of Holland Spider-Man movies. I just haven't. I haven't felt anything for them. And it's been bumming me out because I am such a huge Spider-Man fan. I mean, my daughter's middle name is Parker because of that. So to have my favorite character around and I feel zero, it really brought my attitude down, man, with Spider-Man. But here we are with Brand New Day, and that is Spider-Man. I fully believe Tom Holland is Spider-Man, and this movie proves that he is a great Spider-Man. Everything that they did wrong personally for the last 3 films, they got perfect here. They brought New York back in and it feels like a character. The score actually mattered, and I could remember beats of the score throughout the movie. I think that this is a perfect Spider-Man film who is amongst other characters in this world, because the Marvel New York has characters running around everywhere, and I feel like they did a perfect job of putting Peter in a world like that but still keeping it his own world. I love the practical effects. The suit is actually a suit. You can see the imperfections in it. You can see the ripples and all of that when he's just standing around. The action is incredible. The best action we've got in a Spider-Man movie thus far is with this film. The tone is perfect. It's never too silly. The humor comes and it just goes. It doesn't focus on trying to be funny. And there's just so many takeaways that you can have from this film. So Brand New Day, I absolutely love it. And it is at the number 3 spot on this list. Now, this might be blasphemy to a lot of people too, but at the number 2 place for me is Spider-Man 2. Yes, another masterpiece, and this film puts Peter through the ringer, and that's what makes Peter Parker who he is. He gets put through the ringer so much that he actually quits being Spider-Man, which is in the comics as well. But I think that they did that storyline so much justice to show that, like, sometimes being the hero means you have to sabotage other things and you can't have them. But with great power comes great responsibility, and this movie is a signal to that. So much Sam Raimi-isms in this film. And I just think that it's the perfect classic Spider-Man movie. Like, it feels like a run of the comics, like a graphic novel that you're picking up, because the direction is so stylistic that it feels like panels have come to life. It's old school filmmaking at its best. And I don't know how you would be able to handle Doc Ock any better than what you did here. Anything else would just be kind of like following us up. But I think the emotion that you have here is just performed and done so damn well. Especially you have Peter and Doc Ock coming from the same place of gaining this power, and Peter showing you what it means to have the responsibility with his massive power, and Doc Ock showing him what it means to not have responsibility. So you have these two conflicting things that are happening at the same time until they finally meet and the greater good wins. You know, I'm gonna explain how good Spider-Man 2 is. I think everybody knows that. And no, I'm not caught up in nostalgia. I still think that movie is phenomenal. When you watch it now, it still is great. There are some CGI things that have kind of not aged well, but the fundamental storytelling and the old school filmmaking still make it a classic, and it's why it's still held to such high regard. So at the 2 spot is Spider-Man 2. Now for me, at the number 1 is Spider-Man 1, and I feel like this is the perfect origin Spider-Man movie. If you've never seen Spider-Man or heard of him, if you watch this movie, you will completely understand the character in and out. Again, it feels like a graphic novel because you get to see Peter from his infancy in high school, and you get enough of that to understand what kind of character he is. And you see him before the powers, and you see him after the powers. You see him having to learn how to deal with the powers. You see him become Spider-Man. You see him lose a lot, find himself, and then be the hero that we all know and love. So this is just perfect for me. I think Tobey perfectly captures the essence of Peter Parker in every single way. Now, I do think that his Spider-Man is not as good as his Peter Parker, but when we talk about the classic version from like the 60s, this to me was spot on with what Spider-Man would be back then, but just brought into even more modern times. And of course, the Sam Raimi-isms are on full display here. Some of the best transitional scenes. Like, I still laugh at when Green Goblin bombed all of the generals and then it cuts to hats being thrown in the air. Like, nobody but Sam Raimi could do some shit like that. I love how he, stitches those scenes together so well. And the movie just means so much to me. Like, this film came out in 2002 when I was a freshman in high school. And at this time, anime really hit, and I was kind of moving away from comic books because, comic books were kind of looked at as like, oh, this is for kids. But when that movie came out, I couldn't even front on it. I was like, this movie is excellent. Wow. So you can make Spider-Man feel more like adult and appeal to older folks like myself. And it's just classic. Like I said, everything you need to know about Spider-Man is in that movie, and it delivers it so well. Every performance is fantastic. The practical effects still work, even though the CGI has aged. Like Spider-Man 2, the core of it and its storytelling and its filmmaking make it the best movie for me. And it's always going to be that way. Like, this is my Spider-Man movie, period. So that is my ranking of all the Spider-Man films. And again, let me know down below, what is your ranking of the Spider-Man films and why? And hell, if you made a video, put the link down below so I can watch it, because I love hearing how certain movies resonate with folks, because that's the beauty of art. We all feel it and see it and experience it different. So let's get the discussion going. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you so much. Until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.